My back hurts. That's weird. My bed wasn't this hard, was it? As consciousness slowly floated back, I realized the surface beneath me felt nothing like a bed. It was rough, cold, solid, the kind of hardness that made your spine complain. I opened my eyes. Wait, what? The first thing I saw was an exposed wooden ceiling, rough beams showing through. No plaster, no paint, just naked wood. This isn't my room. No, definitely not. My room was in an apartment. I had a ceiling, and a mattress, and a life. I pushed myself up, trying to take in the surroundings, and then I froze. Because what I saw when I looked down wasn't my body. My name is Kaito Shinju, 38 years old, a perfectly ordinary office worker. But the body I was in now belonged to a small child. Panic shot through me. I touched my arms, my face, my legs. Everything was tiny. Am I still dreaming? Ow! I pinched my cheek, hard. Pain, real pain. Well, no surprise there. I did wake up because my back hurt. I don't get it. I looked around. It was a small hut, barely enough room for a bed, a table, and a clay stove. Beyond the window, mountains stretched endlessly into the distance. A few books sat on the table. A big water jar rested in the corner, and outside, through the window, I could see a well. There was also a large wooden chest on the floor. I'd check that later. For now, I sat down on one of the 4 wooden chairs and tried to gather my thoughts. I can't remember anything from yesterday. I stared blankly out the window, trying to escape reality, when something caught my eye. Up above the mountains, a massive bird-like creature soared across the sky. Its wingspan was impossible. No bird on Earth could be that big. No way. Isekai? Seriously? Wait. Is this actually a transfer? The body I was in, judging from its size, looked around 7, maybe 8 years old. Guess I should check out those books first. Still half hoping this was all a dream, I reached for the one on top of the pile. A Beginner's Guide to Another World. Oh, come on. You're kidding me. That's way too on the nose. Next, Introduction to Magic. Then, Basics of Blacksmithing. And finally, The Alchemist's Handbook. So I'm supposed to be some kind of multi-tool protagonist now? Looking around, I realized there was actually a small forge built into the dirt floor, complete with an anvil and hammer. All right. Guess I'll start reading. I opened the first book, The Thick and Ornate Guide to Another World, and then GWAHHH. The moment my eyes met the unfamiliar script, the book flared with light. Something forced its way into my head. Agony tore through my skull. Why, I thought I was gonna die. When the pain finally faded, the book had vanished. Oh, so that's how it works. Apparently, all the book's knowledge had been burned straight into my brain. Calendar, currency, geography, common sense, everything. Fascinating. All right, then status. Status window, name, Kaito HP, 2020 SMP, 2020th Sage, 7 job, SDR 10, DEF 10 int 20, Dex 10 men, 10 skills, Space-Time Magic LV, 1 Continental Language Appraisal LV, 1 Spatial Storage. Wait, can I choose my job? When I focused on the word job, a list appeared in my mind. Available jobs: Villager Basic Production Class, Warrior Basic Combat Class, Hunter bonus to Archery, Mage, access to Elemental Magic, Apothecary, bonus to Potion Making, Blacksmith bonus to Crafting Weapons and Armor, Carpenter bonus to Woodworking, Tailor bonus to Sewing and Weaving. Let's go with Warrior first, and Mage as a sub, because, come on, magic. Also, the 8th said 7, so yeah, definitely a kid. All right, next book. I nervously grabbed Introduction to Magic and flipped it open. Gah! The pain was back like my brain was being rewritten with fire. Don't tell me I have to do this 2 more times. But when it was over, I could feel something. A flow of warmth inside me. Magic power. The book had taught 4 main types of magic: elemental, enchantment, alchemy, and inscription. Elemental magic: fire, water, wind, earth, ice, lightning, light, and dark. Being able to use all of them felt suspiciously overpowered. Enchantment magic, used to imbue weapons, armor, or tools with additional abilities. Alchemy, the art of decomposition, extraction, and synthesis using magic circles like refining iron from sand or forging steel from carbon. Inscription magic, the process of etching magical circles into materials to create artifacts and tools. When I forced myself through the last 2 books, The Alchemist's Handbook and Basics of Blacksmithing, I gained knowledge about potion recipes, materials, metalworking techniques, and apparently, blacksmith magic too. Blacksmith magic controlled temperature, shaping and polishing through 3 spells. Molding, change, metal shape, polish, refine surface heat, adjust temperature. As for appraisal and item box, they worked exactly like in every RPG ever. Easy enough. Updated status name: Kaito Human HP, 2020th MP, 2020th Age, 7 Jab, Warrior LV0, Mage LV0, STR 10, Def 10, Int, 20 Dex, 10 Men, 10 Skills. Physical enhancement: LV1, Elemental affinity, mana control, LV1, alchemy, LV1, enchantment, LV1, inscription, LV1, spacetime magic, LV2, blacksmithing, LV1, continental language appraisal, LV1, spatial storage. I checked the big wooden chest in the corner. Inside were alchemy tools, an iron sword and knife, several sets of clothes and underwear, some hard bread and dried meat, woodworking tools, and a small leather pouch. Money. Inside the pouch was 1 gold coin and 10 silver ones. From the knowledge implanted in my head, I now knew the world used the same units of length and weight as Japan enough. The currency was called sen. 1 tenso copper coin was roughly equivalent to 10 yen. Currency chart: 1 copper equals 10 sell, 100 copper equals 1 silver equals 1,000 sell, 10 silver equals 1 silver plate equals 10,000 sell, 100 silver equals 10 plates equals 1 gold equals 1 gold equals 100,000 sell, 10 gold equals 1 gold plate equals 1,000. 0 sell, 10 gold plates equals 1 platinum equals 10 million cells. So with 1 gold and 10 silver, I had about 110,000 sell, roughly 110,000 yen. Not bad, but I had no clue about the local prices. After finishing my inspection, I decided to step outside. The door creaked open, sunlight spilling over me. Whoa! I stood on a gentle hill, overlooking a vast, shimmering lake. Mountains surrounded the area in every direction, a perfect, natural enclosure. This is incredible. But, am I trapped here? Kaito gazed at the breathtaking view, whispering softly to himself. Guess I'm in a valley, and that forest at the base looks pretty deep. For now, I decided to put off exploration. My stomach growled, all right, food first. I turned back toward the hut. After checking everything inside the cabin, the next task was clear. I needed food. But still, even if I have a sword, it's not like I can actually hunt, right? For now, I decided to endure with the hard bread and dried meat and start testing magic instead. Let's see. If I remember correctly, the effectiveness of magic depends on how clear the image is in your mind. The stronger and sharper the image, the more powerful the spell. I recalled the information branded into my mind by Introduction to Magic. Each type of elemental magic had its own level, and as the level rose, you could use more complex and difficult spells. Of course, that depended heavily on your mana control level too. To cast high-tier magic, both had to improve in sync. Alright, let's try mana control first. I sat cross-legged on the hill and closed my eyes, focusing inward. There was no particular reason for meditating like that. It just felt right, like something out of a martial arts movie. After a while, I started to sense it, something flowing inside me. A soft, glowing current. My own mana. Moving. I pictured it like chakra, swirling and circulating through my body, coating me in a faint aura. By the time the sunlight dimmed and dusk fell, I could move that energy freely. So I decided to test it. Light. A sphere of white light bloomed before my eyes. Oh, it worked. Grinning, I guided the glowing orb ahead of me, walking back toward the cabin. Guess it's dinner time. I drew water from the jar and sat down to eat my meal. Hard bread and dried meat again. Tastes awful. Halfway through, my consciousness faded. I slumped forward onto the table and blacked out. Right, I'd forgotten. My MP was only 10. I must have completely drained it and passed out. The next morning, I woke up feeling sore all over. Checking my status screen again. Status window name: Kaito, human. HP 20, 20, MP 50, 50, age 7, job warrior, elevate 0, mage, Levian, Aster. 10 def, 10 int, 30 AGL, 10 dex, 10 men, 20 skills, physical enhancement, Livion elemental affinity, mana control, Lividu, light magic, Livion spacetime magic, Lividu, enchantment, Livion, inscription, Livion, blacksmithing, Livion, continental language, appraisal, Livion, spatial storage. My mage job had gone up to level 1. That increase must have boosted my INT and MP by 20 points. So each level raised INT by 20, and MP equaled INT plus men. It was still dark outside, so I hadn't been unconscious for long. Guess I'll just go back to sleep. I crawled into bed again. Yeah, I really missed a soft mattress. The next morning, my body ached all over. I stretched, got up, drank some water, and forced down another round of bread and jerky for breakfast. Then it was back outside. Time for more training. Same as yesterday, I began with mana control. Wind cutter. I imagined a sharp blade of wind slicing through the air. Shh! A twig I'd been aiming at split perfectly in two. Makes sense. Trying to picture something crazy like a full tornado doesn't even trigger. Guess that's the level restriction kicking in. I tested all the other elemental types one by one. Water magic. A jet of pressurized water. Not too strong, but enough to cut small branches. Fire magic. A simple fireball worked, but shaping it into arrows or area attacks was still impossible. Earth magic. Basically tossing small stones, so I named it Stone Bullet. Ice magic. Freezing pebbles and shooting them like ice bullets. Lightning. Magic. A short burst of electricity. Thunder. Dark magic. Oddly different. It let me cloak my presence. I called it hide. I also discovered that I could form defensive barriers purely from raw mana, apparently non-elemental magic. I trained until I was nearly out of mana, then meditated to recover while maintaining control. Repeat, over and over. Gradually, I could cast faster, more freely, and with better precision. After lunch, I strapped the sword to my waist, tucked the knife into my belt, and headed for the forest. All right, time to eat some real meat. At the edge of the woods, I activated a non-elemental detection spell. Search. It worked like radar, sensing magical presences nearby. I could have used wind magic for it, but this version used less mana and was harder to detect. Soon enough, I picked up several signals. Beasts. Let's see. Rabbits, deer, and boar? I'll go for the rabbit today. Judging by size and movement, I estimated which direction to approach and crept forward quietly. Through the brush, I spotted one. A rabbit with a horn? A horn? Well, whatever, still a rabbit. Oh wait, I have appraisal. One-horned rabbit love doo-doo. That's it? Short entry. Guess my appraisal level's still too low. From about 30 meters away, I cast Wind Cutter. Shh. The horned rabbit didn't even make a sound before its head rolled clean off. That's gruesome. Suppressing a shudder, I walked over and stored the body in my item box. By evening, I'd taken down 2 more horned rabbits and 1 massive pheasant monster called a crazy pheasant. Back at the hut, I drained the blood behind the cabin, fighting nausea the whole time, and cut the meat into portions. It wasn't seasoned, just roasted over the fire, but it was delicious. The flavor of real meat after 2 days of dry rations nearly made me cry. I'll need to find salt soon. Right. Without salt, I couldn't preserve food or survive for long. Tomorrow, I'd start exploring the surrounding area in search of resources. Before sleeping, I checked my progress. Updated status name, Kaito, human, HP 30, 30, MP 85, 85, age 7, job warrior L0, mage level 2, hunter void was SDR 15, def 15, int 50, AGL 15, dex 15, men 35 skills, physical enhancement, less presence concealment. Elemental affinity, mono control for doo-doo-wow, fire magic 1, water magic 2, earth magic 1, wind magic of 2, ice magic 1, lightning magic 1, light magic, dark magic, space-time magic, non-elemental magic 2, enchantment, love.1, inscription, love.1, mana detection, love.1, blacksmithing, love.1, continental language, appraisal, love.1, spatial storage. Looks like I'm doing all right, I think. Still, fighting with the sword seemed like too high a hurdle for now. Magic was safer, easier to control. While reviewing my stats and planning tomorrow's route, I eventually drifted off to sleep. The land Kaito had awakened in was a hidden basin centered around a sacred lake, encircled by mountains on all sides. At the foot of those mountains spread a lush forest, home to gentle beasts and low-level monsters. For now, it was a peaceful place. But in this tranquil land, Kaito would soon encounter something. A fateful meeting that would change everything. That night, the second night in another world, drew to a quiet close. Above the sleeping boy, 3 moons shone in the sky. 10 days slipped by in a blur. By some miracle, I found a vein of rock salt and refined it with alchemy, turning it into piles of clean, white crystals. Huff, wuff, woof, woof. At sunrise, I wake up and go through my routine. Practice swings with a wooden sword I carved myself, then drills in mana control. Compared to hunting with magic, just swinging a wooden sword doesn't raise my warrior level much. But I keep at it anyway. Once morning training ends and breakfast is done, I spend the rest of the morning on magic. I train till noon, eat lunch, then sip a cup of herbal tea brewed from leaves I gathered near the forest's edge. I check them with appraisal, so I'm not worried. The taste is actually decent. I should set some long-term goals. At the very least, I'm not planning to hole up here alone for the rest of my life. That would be way too lonely. I don't know if this place is a continent or an island, but according to a beginner's guide to another world, there's a large continent with several countries out there somewhere. First, I need to sharpen real combat skills. Since I've already got blacksmithing knowledge and the skill, I should gear up properly. There's a forge here, after all. And I should level apothecary, stock up on potions, and make sure I'm prepared. I settled on a broad plan. Priority jobs to raise: warrior, mage, blacksmith, apothecary. Everything else can wait until needed. While pushing myself day after day, training jobs and skills, the seasons turned. Before I knew it, a whole year had passed since I arrived in this world. Search ore, orichalcum, ore detection. Over the year, I mined all kinds of ore: iron, copper, silver, mithril, orichalcum, adamantite, using earth magic to locate deposits for both practice and real crafting. Oh, there's one, and pretty shallow. I pulled the ore out with earth magic on the spot. Nice, that's a good haul. Am I developing a hobby for hoarding rare metals? I stored a fist-sized chunk of orichalcum in my item box. Orichalcum was especially rare. Finding a piece that big was unusual. Outside of magic, I'd focused hard on production fields like blacksmithing and apothecary this past year. Status window. Name: Kaito, human. HP 380, 380, MP 12220, 12220. Age 8, job warrior, level 10, mage level 20, STR 240, def 140, int 680, AGL 165, dex 315, men 540, skills: swordsmanship level 2, dagger arts level 2, spear arts level 2, martial arts level 1, throwing level 3, physical enhancement 2, presence concealment level 3, elemental affinity. Mana control low 0.4, fire magic low luku 2, water magic la luku 3, earth magic low 2 3. Wind magic LV4, ice magic Asvito, lightning magic level 3, light magic level 3, dark magic level 2, in space-time magic LV2, non-elemental magic Lev 3, enchantment. Lev 3, inscription. Lev 2, money detection. Lev 3, blacksmithing. Lev 3, compounding. Lv 3, complemental language, Shartzi Deering appraisal. ID 3, spatial storage, jobs, villager. Liv 10, warrior. Lu 10, mage. Lu 20, hunter. Lu sense, apothecary. Lieutenant, alchemist. Lieutenant, blacksmith. Lieutenant. I'd definitely grown more on the magic side. I needed to toughen up my combat classes too. I'd already confirmed that beyond the mountain ring, the land turned into forest crawling with powerful monsters. With my current strength, there's no way I'd survive out there. My mage job hit its cap. Looks like beginner tier jobs cap it'll be 20. The intermediate job after mage is magus. After that, sage, maybe? If so, I probably need to raise something in the cleric line as well. With a good stock of ore and herbs, I headed back to the cabin to prep gear. Back home, I used powdered scrap magic stones on my alchemy bench to draw an extraction circle. I piled different ores on top and poured mana into the array. The circle separated them into ingots and impurities. Tamahagane, mithro, orichalcum, adamantite. I've gathered a lot. Maybe this region is strange. Finding this much rare metal feels off. Kaito's hunch was right. This land was special. He had begun to suspect there was some kind of presence in the lake, but he hadn't made contact yet. Wrapped in a faintly sacred air, this place was unique, but with nothing else to compare it to, I couldn't fully grasp that yet. And there was something else. A being ill-suited to this quiet place, watching Kaito. Far beyond Kaito's current level, it went completely unnoticed. All right, what should I make next? As a Japanese guy, a katana is pure romance. I still called myself Japanese, but the truth was, I no longer looked anything like the man I used to be. My hair was smooth silver, my features had changed, and my eyes were a cool green. Anyone would say I wasn't Japanese. The first time I saw my reflection in the lake, I screamed. Even so, the nearly 40 years I spent as a Japanese man didn't vanish overnight. I should craft a proper spear too. And a bardiche, that's basically an axe, right? I'll try forging one from steel. I turned to the small mana furnace and began making throwing knives. Throwers are nearly consumables, so I produced them whenever I had time. Even after leveling Hunter, I hadn't touched a bow. I didn't like tying up both hands. After the knives, I tried a test build of the bardiche. It could thrust like a spear, while the thick axe blade could shatter heavy armor. With a katana-style laminate blade, it promised razor cutting as well. Normally, you'd smelt steel from iron sand using charcoal and low-temperature reduction to strip oxygen. I handled the repeated fold forging, impurity removal, structure unification, and carbon adjustment with magic all at once. Since the furnace itself ran on mana, even the reduction that charcoal would do was handled by spells. I used the Shihozum, four-sided jacket method to build the core, then applied clay, quenched, and tempered for real. Because if I relied entirely on magic, the Haemon wouldn't form. That said, without magical assistance, I couldn't have managed the rapid quench into martensite or the follow-up temper for toughness. I didn't have to recreate the clay coating or quench by hand. But, well, a blade without a hammer just isn't beautiful, I told myself, and did it anyway. The bardiche was heavy for an 8-year-old. I compensated with physical enhancement. I enchanted it with cleave boost, toughness boost, anti-rust, and auto-repair. I try to enchant everything I make to train both my enchantment skill and job level. Washed, washed, wash. To test the handling, I stepped outside and swung the finished bardiche. Oh yeah, this works not just for axe techniques. It sharpens my spear work and sword work too. All right, long weapons. I'm committing to the bardiche. Someone was watching him from afar. A figure clad in full silver plate, a hawkbird resting easily in their hands. I know not why a child lives alone in this land, the figure murmured. But for me, this is a chance that will not come twice. 6 years. No, he has talent. 4 might suffice. How delightful! Not in 5 centuries have I felt my blood stir so. A low, satisfied chuckle followed. Coo-coo-coo. Fixing their gaze on Kaito one last time, the being turned away, leaving to make preparations for their own purpose. 6 years passed in the harsh yet strangely joyful days of training under Master Dorfares. Thanks to those relentless days, my stats had grown steadily. But since the only beings I'd met in this world were Master and the Spirit Queen, I had no real sense of how strong or weak I actually was. Status window. Name, Kaito, human. HP, 1,770. 1,770. MP, 2,590. 2,590. Age, 14. Job, swordsman, Levito 5. Magus, love pimp 5. SDR, 9x60, def, 710, int, 1S2230. AGL, 835, dex, 1255 men, 1360, skills, swordsmanship, low 4, dagger arts, level 3, spear arts, level 4, martial arts, level 3, axe arts, level R, staff arts, level 3, throwing, level 4, pole staff, 3, warhammer arts, level 3, physical enhancement, Yuga 3, your presence concealment, EV tree 2 4, presence detection, E2. 3. Elemental affinity, mana control, Li 4, fire magic, Ebidma 3, water magic, EVD Tridata 4, earth magic, E-True, dust of war, wind magic, Elvaint 5, ice magic, Levant 3, lightning magic, Livawar, light magic, Livwar, dark magic, Livwy, space-time, magic, Livanu, non-elemental magic, Livar, recovery, magic, Liva, mana detection, Livari, enchantment, Livar, inscription, Livari, blacksmithing guild, compounding, love point 3, woodcraft, love 3, sewing 3, resistances, physical resistance, amov 2, status ailments, nullification, other continental language, appraisal, stew, spatial storage jobs, warrior LV20, swordsman LV5, mage LV20, hunter LV20, martial artist LV20, thief LV20, magus LV5, cleric LV20, villager LV10, enchanter LV20, woodworker Levit 10, clothier Levita 10, apothecary Levita 10, alchemist Levita 10, blacksmith Levit 15. Blessing of the Spirit Queen. My jobs had advanced into the intermediate tier. In our mock battles, I had finally reached the point where I could fight Master Dorfares to a draw. And now, my teacher stood before me, about to fade away. Master Dorfares. Tears blurred my vision. I had so much to say, but the words wouldn't come. Do not weep, Kaito. At long last I am freed from a 500-year bondage. I have only gratitude for you. Master. Dorfares drove his halberd into the ground. My halberd is forged from orichalcum alloy. Resmelt it and use it as material to craft your bardiche. Light wrapped around him. His outline grew faint. Kaito, these 6 years with you, for one who was meant only to vanish, you gave me a light too bright to bear. Live as you wish. Live freely. The thank you, Master Dorfares. Enveloped in radiance, he disappeared. What remained was the halberd sunk in the earth and a large, high-purity magic stone. I gathered both and returned to the cabin. It was nearly time for me to leave this place as well. But first, I need to reforge Master Dorfares' halberd into a bardiche. I headed for the forge. What had once been a small man of furnace had, over 6 years of tinkering, become a high-performance man of forge, necessary for working orichalcum. I smelted Dorfares' halberd back into an ingot, pouring in a vast amount of mana so the metal would attune to me. That attunement would be crucial when using blacksmith's magic later. Molding and polish wouldn't take otherwise. Once the orichalcum hit the ideal temperature, I stabilized it in ingot form. Orichalcum carried both high hardness and toughness with excellent mana conduction. Adamantite boasted even greater hardness but was heavy, and its conduction lagged behind mithril. I prepared 2 orichalcum alloys, not by mixing carbon like steel, but by adding small portions of mithril and adamantite. One blend aimed for maximum hardness, the other for superior toughness and flexibility. Using earth magic and a firm image down to the molecular structure, I fused the two alloys so they would flow together seamlessly. By fortune, orichalcum and adamantite had structures akin to martensite. In a katana, martensite is hard yet brittle. Tempering restores toughness after quenching. But orichalcum alloy, being a fantasy metal, grew harder without becoming brittle. I couldn't wait to see the result. For 3 days and nights I shut myself in the forge. At last I held a piece that felt like my finest work. My reason remains by a chain of coincidences. As you say, monsters attack humans. There are no exceptions. In this holy land, the opposite of undead, a normal undead would have already vanished without a shred of mind. But in life I served as a holy knight. Thanks to that, I did not disappear at once here, and in time, I recovered my reason. So that could happen. But if he stays here, won't he disappear eventually? Dorfares, son, won't you vanish if you remain in this land? That is inevitable. If I leave this place, the urge to destroy would devour my reason and I would become a mere monster. I wish to meet my end as a knight. He said his mastery of sword and spear was high, and training against a strong opponent would help my jobs and skills grow faster. In other words, this was exactly what I needed. Dorfares, son, would you train me? Thank you, Kaito. I shall forge you into a warrior greater than I. And so I gained a mentor. Our bond would be temporary, but I would wring every drop from the time we had and inherit his craft. Kaito, you chose the bardiche as your polearm. A fine choice. Yours serves not only as an axe, but also as a spear. You must train both spear arts and axe arts. But more than that, it is an effective weapon. Thank you. As for your development plan, first polearm training, then swordsmanship and martial arts. If possible, we shall fortify your physical enhancement and resistance-type abilities. What about magic? I cannot teach magic. The recovery and light spells I once knew were lost to me the moment I became undead. For jobs, from warrior to swordsman or knight, and for speed and mobility, thief is indispensable. I'm afraid you must practice magic and mage-type jobs on your own in your spare time. And so began my harsh training under Master Dorfares. Unlike training alone, the focus was now on the bardiche and the sword. Day after day, I got smashed in mock battles, then healed with my own potions, over and over. Later, I learned healing magic through the cleric job, and that replaced potions. In the process, I acquired a new skill, a sturdiness, which toughened my body. Gwaia, rumble, 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 rumble. Master Dorfares' halbert knocked me flying. I hit the ground and tumbled. Cough. I forced my shaking body up, and in that moment, I felt a presence that was clearly neither monster nor human. Master knew it was there. He didn't panic. Rare to manifest before mortals. I followed his gaze. A breathtakingly beautiful woman approached from the lake. But however lovely, she was not human. A spirit? The spirit queen who governs this land, Master said, dropping to one knee and bowing his head. How unusual. Irrational undead, and a rarer still, a visitor from another world. A master-disciple bond between monster and human. This is a first even in my long life. Your Majesty, the Spirit Queen, forgive me for defiling this land in an undead body. If possible, please overlook me for 4 more years. Master bowed deeply, so I quickly did the same. I came only because it seemed interesting. 4 years is but an instant to me. I grant you both leave to remain here. As for the boy, being one invited by the gods, he is beyond my meddling. Invited by the gods? Yes, you were summoned to this world by divine will. She affirmed the words I had muttered without thinking. Why? Was I brought here? Do I have some mission I must fulfill? It was the question that had lived in my chest since the day I arrived. The will of the gods is beyond me. But I do not believe you were summoned to achieve something. The purpose was fulfilled the moment you were invited. Live freely in this world." A weight lifted from my heart. I have enjoyed this rare encounter. Take this, a gift from me. As the Spirit Queen spoke, light wrapped around my body. "My thanks, Your Majesty, for granting your blessing to my disciple," Master said, bowing once more. When I looked up, she was already gone. Afterward, Master explained the blessing. The Spirit Queen's grace amplifies elemental magic and, more importantly, bestows precious status ailment resistances, rendering nearly all debuffs, poison, paralysis, curses, charm, petrification, illness, virtually null. That's incredible. I doubt anyone alive bears the Spirit Queen's blessing today. So, Kaito, you truly are a rarity from another world. Now I understand why a child like you could be here. Sorry, it must have seemed like I was hiding it. Think nothing of it. As Her Majesty said, you are free to live as you wish in this world. However, beyond these mountains lies the forest of the abyss, a place where powerful monsters run rampant. No human can set foot there lightly. So this place was even more dangerous than I'd thought. Then I just need the strength to break through that forest, right? Indeed, and you, Kaito, you will manage. With Master's seal of approval, the days of fierce training began anew. Just like every morning, I finished my daily routine and stepped outside to wash my face, when a crushing pressure slammed into me out of nowhere. Nope, 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 nope. This is bad. I can't win. Absolutely impossible. Instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs trembled and wouldn't move. Then, just as suddenly, the pressure vanished, like mist blown away by wind. Huh? I hurriedly scanned my surroundings and saw him. A knight, at least 2 meters tall, clad head to toe in silver full plate. A massive halberd rested in his hands, but this knight was not normal. In fact, he wasn't even human. "What do they call you, boy?" I'm Kaito." He asked my name so abruptly that I answered without thinking. "I am Dorfares. You've likely realized it already. I am no longer human. I am what they call an undead monster." According to Dorfares, he had once been the captain of the knights of a kingdom that perished 500 years ago. Though sworn to be the nation's shield, he failed to protect it. Perhaps from that regret he awoke to find himself transformed into an undead. I'd had a feeling this land was special, and he confirmed it. A sacred place blessed by the Spirit Queen. Because he was undead, merely existing here drained his strength. Eventually, he would simply fade away. For one waiting only for such an end, an opportunity has finally come. A chance to depart for the heavens. Huh? What do you mean? Depart for the heavens? Did he mean pass on in peace? I have regrets. I failed to raise a successor to inherit my techniques. In this place I had no hope of meeting any human and resigned myself to oblivion. But then I found you. So, will you accept my teaching? You're an undead monster, but you're so rational. Are there monsters like you who can think clearly? I couldn't help asking. Even one-horned rabbits had attacked me on sight. I thought monsters simply were like that. Grade, mythic enchantments, auto-repair, hardness boost, toughness boost, cleave, amplification, corrosion, resistance, strength, augmentation, holy aspect, amplification. Appraising it, I found an enchant I hadn't placed. Holy aspect amplification. It must have carried over from Master Dorfares' halberd, once wielded by a holy knight. The shaft was orichalcum alloy as well, heavy, so I added a separate weight reduction enchant to the shaft. And half for grip, half for mischief, I engraved words along the surface. Swift as the wind, calm as the forest, fierce as fire, steadfast as a mountain. Rin, Pio, Tu, Sha, Kai, Jin, Retsu, Zai, Zen. The 9 warrior syllables. Excerpts of a vow from a great sutra. Bodhi arises from resolve, compassion its root, skillful means its consummation. Enlightenment is without form. To know the mind as it is, this is the path. I'd known the Sun Tzu line and the 9 syllables, but the sutra. My hands carved it almost on their own. Creepy, a little, but hey, it's a fantasy world. I chose not to dwell on it. The moment the words bit into the shaft, the weapon's presence seemed to deepen. For the sake of my mental health, I decided not to think too hard about that either. For the butt spike, I tweaked size and shape to balance the weight. Outside the cabin, I ran through the forms Master had drilled into me. Yeah, it fits like it was always mine. Master had hammered into me the true phoenix style of sword and spear, once used in the long-fallen kingdom of Aldebaran. I repeated several spear forms to learn the new Bardich's feel. Under his teaching, I hadn't only trained spear and axe, but also staff and warhammer work, anything necessary for mastering long-handled weapons. Satisfied with my new partner, I turned to the best of my gear. Materials were limited, so I had to choose carefully. I want to forge a katana, but I don't have the fittings materials, maybe just gauntlets for now. In the end, I forged a pair of gauntlets, usable for both defense and close-quarters strikes, from orichalcum alloy and adamantite alloy. Calling orichalcum and adamantite gauntlets makeshift would make anyone question my sanity. But since I'd met no one in this world besides Master and the Spirit Queen, that realization would come much later. After tidying the cabin, I walked to the lake shore. As I approached, the Spirit Queen manifested. I came to say goodbye. She smiled gently. So, the night has been called to the heavens. Yes, Master Dorfares went with a smile. The world is vast. Somewhere in it, you may meet again. The forest around this land is deep and dangerous. Go with care, and may your journey be a good one. Wrapped in light, she vanished. All right, Master said to head south, no matter what. His knowledge was 500 years old, but he'd told me there were several nations to the south. 7 years since I'd been dropped into this world without a clue. I finally took my first step into the wide, wide world.